In your own backyard, do you crave delicious food, refreshing drinks, and luxurious accommodations? Then look no further, or listen rather, than All in a Day's Drive, the podcast that takes you on a journey through the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, history, the outdoors, hiking, skiing, shopping, and more. From the stunning landscapes and historic landmarks to the world-renowned attractions, we'll show you the beauty and wonder that Pennsylvania has to offer. All of this and more in just one day's drive. What are you waiting for? Hop in the car and join us for an adventure you'll never forget. And now your host, Matthew Dowling, and today's guest on All in a Day's Drive.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Matt Dowling, here on All in a Day's Drive on WMBS Radio, 590 AM, 101.1 FM. And, this new program that we have, All in a Day's Drive, once we get through the summer months and commonalities, comes back on Tuesdays. All in a Day's Drive will be our Thursday program. And our aim here is to help those of you who are local to discover things that are in your own backyard. And we also release this program as a podcast and have listeners actually right now from all 50 states. So we want to entice our listeners to be with us here in Fayette County. My guest today had to cancel, but I have someone in the co-host chair. My son, Pierce Dowling, is with us. Pierce is going to be 11 years old next week, and he's been on some travels through Pennsylvania, so we'll get him to weigh in on his experiences throughout the Commonwealth today. We also have Nick in the producer's chair, and we'll be talking to him a little bit as well. And we also invite you to call in and to talk to us. Our telephone number is 724-438-4593. Today we're going to be talking about the important things that you have to keep in mind when you're planning a trip to Southwestern Pennsylvania. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Pierce, you want to go ahead and tell the listeners hello? And I know yesterday we were talking a little bit about the Carnegie Science Center in Pittsburgh, which is one of your favorite places to go to. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell people a little bit about the Carnegie Science Center. What are your favorite things to do there?
Probably to go and see the lights at the Science Center and to see the music and the show. The music and the show, and you're talking about those items that are in the planetarium. They do some shows that are set to music. And we've seen several of those, and that's always a good time. There's also some interactive games or shows for kids. So why don't you tell us about those? They are kind of fun to do, but they're mostly for younger kids.
And then there's also the awesome train setup that's there if you're into model railroads. Is that one of the things that you enjoy?
Yeah.
And since we're in Fayette County, we also have to talk about and we're talking about model trains. We also have to talk about the trains that are in Connellsville at the Connellsville Canteen. They have an amazing train setup there as well. Again, we want to invite you to call in and tell us your favorite things to do in Southwestern Pennsylvania. Our phone number is 724-438-4593. Now, if you're from outside of the area, maybe 3 to 5 hours away, I always like to tell people that are coming to the area to know that Pennsylvania, Southwestern Pennsylvania weather is something that can be really unpredictable. So make sure that you check the forecast before you come here. Right now, we are having some amazing summertime weather, and shorts and a t-shirt are appropriate for most places that you visit. But we do get frigid here in the winter, and also sometimes in the late spring. We have snowfalls that happen all the way up until March. So that's something to watch out if you're coming into the area. Nick, are you originally from this area?
I am, yes, Matt, yes. Born and raised.
So you were completely familiar with the weather. What are some weather tips that you would give those who are coming to Southwestern Pennsylvania?
Well, certainly in the summer, sunscreen and everything like that, and wear some light clothing. But, in the winter, bundle up. And obviously the weather in Southwestern Pennsylvania changes. If you don't like it, just wait a few minutes. It'll change, as they always say. So, yeah, it's a great time of year to get out. I haven't been out and about as much as I'd like to this summer. It's still early June. But, yeah, certainly it's a great time of year to see what is happening here in Southwest Pennsylvania. It always is, but particularly in the summer and then, of course, in the fall as well. The winter you may want to avoid, but certainly you want to get out there and see all the sights.
Well, and that brings me to one of my next talking points that I have on my sheet that I want to talk about, and that was planning your trip during the correct time of year. We really are a four-season community here, and we have things that you can get out and do during each of those seasons. I would say in the fall, and this phrase always kind of makes me laugh, but leaf peeking is something that people come here for the area to do. In the winter, we of course have ski slopes across the Commonwealth. Nemacolin Woodlands and Seven Springs, of course, are awesome places to ski. In the spring, we start to see that new life and bloom that happens here in Western Pennsylvania. And then throughout the summer, we have a lot that you can do, whether it is hiking or getting out on the Great Allegheny Passage, the Gap Trail as we know it. So we have a lot of cyclists that come through the area. And one of the big things that I like to talk about is agro-tourism, because here in Southwestern Pennsylvania, we really kind of are the bread bowl of the Commonwealth. We produce a lot of fruits, vegetables, and other materials that go into the things that we eat and drink and enjoy. But many of our farms have opened up for agro-tourism, whether it be using a barn for a venue for a wedding or just touring the farms as well. Nick, are you a farm enthusiast at all?
I have to be honest, not really, but certainly I appreciate the work that they do. The farmers that we have in this region are second to none. Agriculture is such a big industry here in Southwest Pennsylvania, right up there with tourism. So certainly I talk to a lot of farmers here that come into the station. And yeah, it's certainly a great field. And certainly I would encourage any young person to get into it if they're interested. But yeah, certainly people think their food comes from a grocery store, but it really comes from a farm. And certainly we have great farming here in Southwest Pennsylvania.
Well, and it's so great to get out on those farms. One of my recent episodes was with Harmony Acres, and we went out to the farm that they have there in the Bell Vernon area and sampled some of the cheeses. They have a fresh-made butter that is just a little bit sweet, and that butter was fantastic. I had to find something to put the butter on, because if not, I would have eaten it with a spoon, that it was that good. But, we do have so many opportunities for agro-tourism. We're seeing wineries and distilleries popping up throughout Western Pennsylvania and the Commonwealth as a whole. And I know people definitely enjoy going to those places. Accommodations is something that here in recent years we have seen new hotels and lodging that has popped up throughout Fayette County, and some of those places are that have been here are going through major overhauls. And I've been watching on Facebook the fact that that the lodge at Chalk Hill was bought out by new owners, and they're doing some very impressive things at turning over those rooms, making them more modern, making them look clean, and they are clean. So, even some of those places that have been around for ages are going through a rebirth. Nick, I want to here in a moment just take our first break. And during the first break, as we recognize our sponsors and listen to the ads that play, we also will be listening to an episode of Adventures with Kelly, and that's a partnership that we're really proud of here on All in a Day's Drive, because Kelly likes to get out with her family. Her intro says she has 2 kids. She actually has 3. Excuse me. And they go out hiking with a young family. They go out on those trails. So we'll hear where she will be this week. And we'll also listen to recognize our sponsors. So we'll be back here in All in a Day's Drive in just a moment.
You're listening to All in a Day's Drive. Stay with us while we top off our tank and order an MTO. The journey across Pennsylvania will continue right after this pit stop.
Coordinated 360 is comprised of 3 main divisions: marketing, political consulting, and event management. For today, let's discuss event management. Our event services, under the direction of owner Rebecca Dowling, can take charge of planning and hosting your conferences, conventions, meetings, exhibitions, trade shows, seminars, festivals, and any private gatherings, such as birthdays, weddings, or showers. Our team can handle finding vendors, issuing invitations, and even use social media to advertise the event. We pride ourselves on our customized event decor. No longer just for kids' birthday parties, balloons bring delight and joy to everyone regardless of age. Whether you need balloons to enhance a birthday, corporate function, or themed party, we have the necessary supplies and designs to make it special. Our balloon arches, walls, columns, and centerpieces, plus any custom or specialty designs, are available in Fayette, Greene, Somerset, and Washington counties. For more information on our services and decorations, please call Rebecca at 724-317-2892 or contact us through email at info@coordinated360.com. We also encourage you to check out our Facebook page or visit coordinated360.com to see some of our previous work.
When it comes to buying a home, what you see isn't exactly what you get. That's why home buyers should call Dave Dowling at Grandview Inspections at 724-208-4108. You'll see colorful flowers, freshly painted walls, granite countertops, gleaming hardwood floors, and other touches. What you can't see is the cracks, ancient plumbing, dangerous wiring, or broken appliances that might be revealed when you hire a home inspector. And when it comes to home inspectors, knowing yours has the qualifications and experience needed should be your number one concern. Dave Dowling with Grandview Inspections is an architectural engineer with over 30 years of commercial construction experience and hundreds of inspections under his belt. A home inspection is an opportunity for you to hire an expert to walk through the home and prepare a report outlining the home's major components, what needs immediate attention, and what will require maintenance after you move in. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so make sure your investment is everything you hoped it to be. Call Dave Dowling at Grandview Inspections at 724-208-4108.
Well, we are back in All in a Day's Drive. I'm your host, Matt Dowling, and in my guest chair today is my son, Pierce. He's going to be celebrating a birthday next week, be 11 years old, and he wanted to come into the studio today, so I guess it's Take Your Child to the Radio Station Day, and he's been sharing with us some of the things that he likes to do in Southwestern Pennsylvania. If you are listening and you want to call in, 724-438-4593. We'd love to hear some of your tips for those that are planning a trip to Fayette County as their destination. If you're the owner of a restaurant or a tourism attraction, feel free to give us a call and let us know about some of the special things that you are doing here in Southwestern Pennsylvania. I'm also going through a list of items that those who are planning a trip, really to anywhere, but especially here to Pennsylvania, should watch for or should plan accordingly for. And one of those items is transportation. Now, here in Fayette County, there's a story that I like to tell. I was meeting at Nemacolin with someone who was not from the area, and he was getting up the next morning to fly out of Pittsburgh International Airport, and I happened to ask him, I said, how are you planning to get to the airport? And he said, well, I'm just going to call an Uber, and get them to take me to the airport. And you have to really plan your transportation here in Western Pennsylvania because we don't always have access to Ubers. And he was astounded the fact that Farmington, Pennsylvania didn't have rideshare services like that, but that's something that you need to watch for. Public transportation is available in Fayette County through our FACT bus lines for residents of the area, but those who are just coming in for a few days may not be able to use that transportation. So bringing your own car or renting a car here in the area are things that you really should consider. During our last break, I was talking to Pierce and asking him other things that he's enjoyed doing throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and he started talking about amusement parks. So, Pierce, what amusement parks have you been to in Pennsylvania, and what are your favorite things to do when you go to those parks? Do you like to eat? Do you like to ride? Of course, I know those things, but our listeners at home may not. So tell us a little bit about the parks that you've been to and the things you like to do, as a 11-year-old here in Southwestern Pennsylvania.
I like to go to Hershey Park and Kennywood.
Hershey Park and Kennywood. And do you have a favorite ride at either of those parks?
Probably one of the roller coasters, one of the child ones.
One of the smaller coasters that they have at both of those parks. And what about eating? What do you like to eat when you go to the park?
Probably like cotton candy, something like that.
Cotton candy, that's a great one. Chocolate. One of my favorite things, especially if you're at Hershey's, you have to have chocolate. But Hershey Park has Rita's Italian Ice, and I know there are some of those along the sides throughout Pennsylvania. We don't have one in Fayette County, but if you're going to the Greensburg area or you're going to Pittsburgh, you can find a Rita's Italian Ice, and I really like their ice cream. When they put that in with the ice, that's a good combination there, and I know we always enjoy that when we go to Hershey Park. And ice cream is something that has really, I guess it's a cold topic. I was going to say it's a hot topic here in Southwestern Pennsylvania, but ice cream is something that we have to talk about because, if you're from the area, and love Jackson's Farms ice cream. And that's available to people that are coming from out of the area. You can go right to the farm where they have a gas station. You can buy that ice cream there. I also know Mill Street Market in Uniontown will sometimes have Jackson Farms ice cream. And then a newer ice cream that's available in the area. It comes from the Corner Creamery, which is right across from the Uniontown Fire Department. If you haven't been there yet, I know my friend Jamie is getting all geared up for the summer, and they make small batch ice cream. They even have some ice creams that are gluten-free or dairy-free, and I didn't even know dairy-free ice cream was something that you could make, but it is for those who have lactose problems. So if you haven't stopped by yet, it's in the former Sullivan Brothers coffee shop. The Corner Creamery here in Uniontown is someplace I would highly recommend for some great ice cream, in addition to that Jackson Farms ice cream that's there.
And guys, we have someone on the line. Maybe we've piqued their interest. And good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, this is cool. The rock slides are Ohio Powell, but I prefer when it rains. So we use the whole creek as a rock slide, the whole creek.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea, and I live now in Farmington, Pennsylvania, so I get over to Ohio Powell periodically. I've never gone down the rock slides. I've walked some of those areas, and there's actually an area where you can kind of go behind the waterfall. Some excellent things. What else do you like to do in addition to those rock slides that you would recommend in the Fayette County area?
Well, I love sitting around a fire and watch the seasons change. We have the perfect opportunity to do that here in Southwestern Pennsylvania. And for those who aren't afraid of the great outdoors, we have a lot of opportunities for camping, whether it be tent camping, cabin camping, and just sitting around enjoying the fire is something that I really enjoy as well. My wife and I do some work for Christian Clay Winery and Ridge Runner Distillery. I know both of them have fire pits in the evening that they will light up, and you can make some s'mores and have some family-friendly exchanges there.
Especially when the owl shows up and starts hooting, too.
Absolutely. So then you have someone to serenade you there throughout the evening. Well, we thank you for calling in. Any final thoughts, sir, on things that you would recommend someone who's coming to Fayette County for the first time that they absolutely have to do?
The cross.
The cross.
That's at least drive by the cross. If they don't stop, at least drive by and see it.
Absolutely. And you could hike right up to that cross in Jamonsville. And, that has for a long time been the tallest cross in Pennsylvania. However, I just read that in central Pennsylvania, there's going to be a cross that will be 3 times the size of the cross in Jamonsville. And that's stunning to me. I know there's a fun fact that the cross in Jamonsville, and if I'm wrong on this, please don't count on bashing me for that. But the cross in Jamonsville is the height of 8 school buses if you would stack them long ways up and down. And so I can only imagine in central PA the size of the cross that they will be building there. And that cross here in Jamonsville can be seen, from what I understand, from at least 3 states, maybe 4. I'm not sure if you can see it from Maryland or not, but Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. So that is something that is awesome to see. Well, we thank you so much for calling in today. Again, for those of you who want to call in and share your thoughts on what people traveling to Fayette County should make sure they do, give us a call, 724-438-4593. You're listening to All in a Day's Drive. I'm your host, Matt Dowling, and as I've said several times, my son Pierce is in the studio with us here today, and we're kind of running down how to plan a trip in southwestern Pennsylvania and Pennsylvania as a whole. And the next bullet point that I wanted to talk about today was budget, and you have to kind of consider your budget carefully when you're planning your trip. Different places are free to visit. And I think of our national park system and the fact that we have Fort Necessity right at the top of the mountain there that you can visit. There, I don't believe there's any cost there. Maybe some costs for food, beverage, and souvenirs, but that's a free attraction you can see. So you can do Pennsylvania on a large budget, on a small budget. We also, I talk about this with friends from other parts of the country. We have some amazing dining opportunities here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Right out of college, I spent about 6 months living in San Diego. And San Diego is a phenomenal place. I love to go back there, and I've only been back a couple times since that time to visit. I was out there for the wildfires, much like the wildfires that are going on in Canada right now, that are making things a little bit difficult for all of us that are breathing the air in around this area. But Southern California, as great as it is, those wildfires were a drawback. And the other drawback that I found was authentic Italian food. Mm-hmm. And being from southwestern Pennsylvania, we can go to Maloney's, we can go to pretty much any place, and you can get a great Italian meal. I know that in the mountain area, the Stone House has reverted to some of the Italian classics on their menu that they had years ago when the Stone House was being operated 30 to 50 years ago. They brought some of those menu items back. But Nick, you know what? I could not get a cannoli in Southern California to save my life.
That's ridiculous.
And that was, that was something that I really missed.
Yeah.
And then
they're so good.
Then
you get a good one, yeah.
You talk about ethnic food in this area, If you've never had kubi or grape leaves, St. George's Maronite Church here in the area has some festivals where they sell those food products, and they're fantastic. Pierogies on Fridays. Are you a pierogi fan, Nick?
Absolutely, Matt. I love pierogies, the fish fries, all that stuff. Yeah.
Now with your pierogies, are you a straight cheese and potato guy?
Do
you? Okay.
I don't really dress it up with anything, but yeah, I'm a basic guy.
I'm a cheese and potato guy, but I also enjoy the prune pierogies that every once in a while you'll find in this area. I know my wife really likes sauerkraut-filled pierogies.
So those are all items that we have in this area. And like I said, we really are a melting pot. So when you're coming here from another part of the area, your area may have a specialty dish. If you're in Chicago, it's about the deep dish pizza, but there's not as wide of an array of food products that you would have. So again, I want to throw our telephone number out there, 724-438-4593. And if you want to call and talk about your favorite things to do or the place that you have to hit if you were coming into Fayette County, feel free to share that with us. I guess when you're planning a trip to an area that is not where you live, one of the things that you have to do is focus on kind of the safety of tourists and how you're going to remain safe in that area. And that's true for any place that you go. Even here in Southwestern Pennsylvania. So, I don't know if people still use traveler's checks, but, I know traveler's checks
Might be a little outdated, but yeah.
Yeah, those used to be a way that you could safeguard your finances. Now with debit and credit cards, I think that may have been the death nail in the coffin for traveler's checks. But just know about your surroundings because you're not here on a regular basis. And along with that, I would say also talk to the locals of an area. When I go to someplace new, I love to, strike up a conversation with the person at the front desk that's running the hotel check-in and ask them where they would go to eat. Not necessarily where they would recommend that a tourist goes to eat, but get that insight for where they would like to go and as a native to that region. And I would definitely suggest that you do that here when coming to Southwestern Pennsylvania as well. Culture is a thing that we have a lot of here in Pennsylvania. We have a rich history and kind of a unique culture. There are plenty of museums. If you get into the Pittsburgh area, all of those museums, we talked about the Carnegie Science Center, but you also have the Art Museum, the Museum of Natural History, Andy Warhol. Nick, are you an Andy Warhol fan at all?
I know of him, yes, absolutely, yeah. I mean, what a legacy from right here in Southwest Pennsylvania, and he has his own museum in Pittsburgh, so that's a great field trip opportunity for kids.
And I, several years back, I wrote a piece that was published in the Herald Standard newspaper, and I used to do a regular column with them when I was working with Fayette TV. And I remember someone having told me at one point in time that Andy Warhol was actually from or had connections with family to Smock, Pennsylvania.
Is that right?
And so I put that in the piece, but before I put the piece out, I called the Andy Warhol Museum to confirm that. And they couldn't either confirm nor deny that fact. But some folklore here is that Andy Warhol had a connection to Smock. And if you happen to know if that is true or untrue, feel free to give us a call and straighten me out on that, because that's a fact I would love to know. And I can't remember who had originally told it to me. So, I won't put that in print anyplace, but I think Andy Warhol did have a connection very close to here. When you talk about architecture, one of probably the most recognizable homes in the entire country. In fact, they sit on the UNESCO list of heritage sites, is Falling Water. And I'm always impressed by the UNESCO designation that they recently got. I know that was a lot of work to get that designation, but I started looking at the other sites that have that same designation, and the pyramids and the Sphinx are on that list.
That's unreal.
So to imagine the fact that we can hold a candle to places like that, like the Grand Canyon is on the list. Like I said, the pyramids and the Sphinx and Falling Water, which is right here in southwestern Pennsylvania. And I'm amazed at the number of international travelers that we get here in our own backyard to visit that site. Twice a year, Falling Water does visitor days that are just for Fayette County residents. They waive the fee. I know they just had one here in the spring. They'll be having another one in the fall. But I would highly recommend, if you live here, if it's in your own backyard, you've never been there, it is definitely a bucket list item that you have to do. We have just a little bit left here in the program. We want to get one more commercial break in, and we also want to hear our episode of Adventures with Kelly. If we didn't play that during the last break, did we, Nick? So we're going to get in here with Adventures with Kelly and a couple more commercials, and then we'll be back to wrap up today's All in a Day's Drive.
You're listening to All in a Day's Drive. Stay with us while we top off our tank and order an MTO. The journey across Pennsylvania will continue right after this pit stop.
Is your business using analog strategies in a digital marketing world? If so, then contact Matthew or Rebecca Dowling at Coordinated 360 for a professional consultation, where we bring in-depth knowledge and functional expertise with a holistic perspective. Coordinated 360 provides digital marketing, paid ad and media buying services, web design, social media management, video production, and more for businesses, organizations, and political campaigns. With decades of experience, Matt and Becky at Coordinated 360 can help you craft your unique message and share it with the world. For a no-risk media evaluation and recommendations, call 724-320-2212 or visit us online at www.coordinated360.com. Find us also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or email info@coordinated360.com.
Well, we're back in All in a Day's Drive, and Nick tells me we have another caller. Hello, caller.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
Oh, okay. I do know the connection to a degree of Andy Warhol to this part of Pennsylvania. It's actually the Warhola family. Yeah, he took the A off the end of his name, and they had like a farm or farmette in the Smock area. And they're very much creative family. I have participated in events at the Warhol Museum and not in cultural events. But anyway, I'm not sure of his first name, but his cemetery stone is at Mount Macrina. Now, the relative I'm talking about that had the farmette, his means of artwork was by putting chickens' feet in paint, and they walked across a canvas or so forth. And on his stone at the Mount Macrina Cemetery, I believe there are imprints of chicken feet there. So anyway, that's the connection.
Well, I thank you so much for calling and straightening me out, because I was starting to think maybe I was losing my mind, or that I had made that up in a dream or something. But great to know that Andy Warhol and his family has a connection to Southwestern Pennsylvania.
And he is part of the Carpatho-Rusyn culture, and that's how I know that. But anyway, so like I said, it was an interesting way of him doing his artwork by letting the chickens walk in paint and go onto a canvas. It's kind of cool.
It is. That's a very unique idea or concept. So, hey, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to hear our Adventures with Kelly episode here right now, and then we'll come back to wrap up today's show.
You're listening to All in a Day's Drive. And now, it's time for our special segment, Adventures with Kelly. Kelly is a woman with many hats. She's a wife, mother of two, and a speech-language pathologist. Hailing from Southwestern Pennsylvania, she moved away for a few years before returning home to start her family. And boy, did she explore the United States during that time. From sea to shining sea, Kelly's adventures were nothing short of spectacular. But you know what? Since returning home, Kelly's perspective on her hometown and the surrounding areas has shifted dramatically. She can't stop daydreaming about her next adventure, whether it's exploring a new place or simply getting lost in the woods. And now, she's here to share all her wonderful travel tips and insights with us. So let's buckle up, get the kids in the car seats, fill up our tanks, and join Kelly and her family on this exciting ride. All in a Day's Drive, where the fun never stops.
Hi, this is Kelly of Adventures with Kelly, and you're listening to All in a Day's Drive. I'm a mom in Southwestern Pennsylvania, and I like to get my family out and explore. And I'm here to share some things I learned along the way to help you plan your next adventure. So we live in Fayette County, and we just took a short drive today to our neighboring county into Westmoreland County and visited Lynn Run State Park. And Lynn Run is situated in the Laurel Highlands region. It's a beautiful area, and it's surrounded by several other state parks as well. There's tons to do up here. Some of the other parks are Laurel Hill, Laurel Summit, Coosier. There's also Powder Mill Nature Reserve, which we have yet to check out, and others. So there's really a lot of recreation opportunities up here. When we arrived, we first stopped at the visitor center because we have a new baby, and I wanted to get my daughter her own Pennsylvania State Park passport. And that's, I'm kind of a passport geek, and I like to track our travels through passports. And Pennsylvania has a nice little booklet where you can get stamps for your visits for state parks and state forests. So we stamped her passport for Lynn Run, and it's at that visitor center that you can stamp two of the other parks nearby as well. I'm just not exactly sure which ones. But after we visited the visitor center, we went down to the Adam Falls picnic area where we parked. There's a nice little playground right near the parking area that the kids always enjoy. And we did a short hike to Adam Falls. There's a loop hike, but we just went to the falls and back, and if I had to guess, it's probably less than a quarter mile one way. And then after that hike, we took the Flat Rock Trail and hiked a short distance, and took a blanket and packed a picnic and let the kids kind of play around in the creek. So this park is nice and family friendly. It's a smaller state park, which we like. There are rustic cabins available here too that we'd like to check out someday and rent, but not this visit. But yeah, we saw people fishing, and there's just endless opportunities up here in this area. So we really enjoyed our visit today to Lynn Run State Park, and thanks for tuning in. Hope to catch you on our next adventure. Bye.
Thanks for joining Kelly on this adventure here on All in a Day's Drive. You can learn more about Kelly and her adventures by visiting www.adventureswithkelly.com or connect with her on your favorite social media platforms. Today, we've been exploring the beauty and wonder of Pennsylvania. From the stunning landscapes to the historic landmarks and world-renowned attractions, Pennsylvania truly has it all. And the best part? You can see it all in just one day's drive. So let's buckle up and join us as we journey through this incredible state. From Philadelphia's Liberty Bell to the breathtaking vistas of the Pocono Mountains, we'll show you why Pennsylvania is a must-visit destination. And now, back to today's adventure here on All in a Day's Drive.
We have just a moment or two before we have to sign off for today. I want to thank you for tuning in to All in a Day's Drive. My son Pierce has been with us here today. Pierce, any final thoughts you want to share with the listeners? You want to tell them goodbye?
Have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day. Well, we thank you for tuning in. If you're not from Southwestern Pennsylvania and you're listening to the podcast, please make sure that you plan a trip here, because there's so much to see and do throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We have everything from rural living here in Fayette County, Somerset County, Greene County, to big city life of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. There's no place in the world that I would rather live than Southwestern Pennsylvania. And that's why we bring you this program, to talk about all of the good things that are happening. Just a quick highlight, in the next couple episodes, we'll be hearing from Jared at DeMarco's Restaurant. talking about what they're doing new for the summer. There's a new craft and antique shop in Farmington, PA, the Cedar Shack, and we'll be visiting them on an episode here in the near future. And we also have a number of other places that are on the horizon, including a new event venue in downtown Uniontown called Slate, which is operated by Nicole Heinbaugh, who also has a company, Simply Sweet, here in Uniontown. So look forward to those upcoming interviews and episodes. And again, we thank you for tuning in to All in a Day's Drive.
This has been All in a Day's Drive. Don't waste a moment of time. Start planning your adventure in Pennsylvania today. All in a Day's Drive is a production of Coordinated 360. All rights reserved. For more information, visit www.coordinated360.com or www.matthewddowling.com. Portions of today's program may have been underwritten in some way by the attraction, location, or venue discussed on the show. Rebroadcast of this program may be done free of charge for the use of promoting tourism in southwestern Pennsylvania.